The clocks have changed. It's getting dark at 3:30 in the afternoon. Winter is coming, and I think we're all feeling it. So let's talk about some things that you can do to help combat your winter blues. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Taylor, co-owner of Vegan Proteins Online Coaching, and today we're gonna be talking about some things that I do to battle my winter blues, or I would even go so far as to call it seasonal affective disorder. First of all, what do you guys think of the background? I'm trying new backgrounds in my house. Let me know what you think. I'm tired of sitting in the same spot all the time. So, I don't know how many people in our audience know this. I know I've talked about it on the podcast a few times, but I actually do struggle with depression, clinical diagnosed depression, and part of that is the fun winter depression that we get, seasonal affective disorder. I live in New England. The clocks just changed like 2 weeks ago, and it is literally getting dark. It's starting to get dark. At 3 in the afternoon, we can start to see the sun like descending, and you feel that panic sort of every day when that starts to happen. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that I do and that I think you could do to help combat some of that. Now, I am not a mental health professional here. If you think you are struggling with seasonal affective disorder, you should talk to a professional. I think that the tips that I'm about to give would be helpful for everybody, but I'm not saying they should be used in place of mental health professionals if that is what is needed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm gonna film some of this outside here because that is one of my most important tips, actually. I hope the audio is okay. I literally live right next to the highway. So we'll see. This is an experiment. So my first tip is to plan your winter out. I think a lot of us get really stressed at the beginning of winter because we have all of these holiday commitments that we are trying to keep up with Thanksgiving and Christmas and travel and shopping for gifts, and then straight into New Year's, and then, oh my God, New Year's resolutions, and then nothing. January, February, March, if you're in New England, all of it just feels like it just will never, ever end. So first of all, creating a plan for your winter where you make sure that you're not overcommitting yourself in the first half. And then in the second half, make sure you have stuff to look forward to. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be a Caribbean vacation, but make sure that you build things into January, February, and March that get you excited. Because without those things, it's a long tunnel we're looking down towards the end of it. So some of the things that I like to build in, I will build in more fun date nights that can be done indoors. I really love escape rooms. Giacomo does too. So we will do more of those in the winter than we do at other times of the year. We will build in going to the movies, which you guys know that I love. We will build in doing like small local city tours. So rather than like go on a big vacation, which can be expensive and time prohibitive, we'll just like point to a city on the map that we can drive to that we've not been to before and like go explore it for a day. That can be really fun. And then in March, I start planning my garden. I can't actually do anything yet in March up here, but I can start planning it out, and that gets me really excited. And it's like, okay, spring is coming. We're almost out of it. So plan your winter if you can. My next tip, and you've probably heard this before, is light. Light, and the lack of it actually in the winter, is one of the #1 reasons for seasonal depression. The days get so much shorter, and it is just kind of depressing to never see the sun. So what can you do? If you live in a climate like I do, where it is dark for a majority of the day, I would recommend actually getting a light box. They're cheap. I got mine for $20. I have one, Giacomo has one. We keep them on our desks, and we just have them on full blast, like pointing at our faces for the chunk of the day that it probably should be light. So like when we wake up and start working, and if we're still working at like 6 o'clock, then we still will have it on at that time of day. And is it a miracle? No. But is it helpful? I think that it is helpful. But my tip is to get ahead of it. Start using it before you feel like you actually need it. And, at that point you'd be like, I don't know if it's working, but I guess I feel okay. That would be a good thing. Is some of it placebo? Possibly. But if you've ever dealt with true seasonal affective disorder, you will try almost anything to help yourself out of it. And I think this is a cheap non-invasive thing that you can try. But what I guarantee will help improve seasonal affective disorder is what I think is the most important tip on this entire list is get your ass outside. I don't care how cold it is. In Norway, there is a saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. And I very much so agree with that. If you live in a place where it's really cold like I do, you need to have the proper clothing in order to go outside and stay warm. It's like 35 degrees right now, and I'm feeling fine actually out here. I have my scarf, my coat, my heavy shoes, my hat. If it gets a little colder, I'll put gloves on. But get outside. I have a tendency to be a total homebody and a hermit, and I don't have to go outside. I'm perfectly fine to stay inside, but it is not good for me to do so. So I always keep my eye on the weather and see when it's going to be the sunniest outside, and I will plan a walk at that time of day to get some fresh air. Another thing I'm considering doing is getting one of those little radiation heat lamps that some restaurants have on their patios and putting it on my patio so that I can, sit out there for a few minutes in the morning as well before the day really kicks off. But getting that sunlight on your face, in your eyes, it releases the proper hormones in your brain to help regulate your circadian rhythm. And it just it gives you life. That's the only way that I can describe it, is it gives you life. So if you take nothing else away from this, you've probably heard it before. Go outside, go for a walk, exercise, eat well, drink water. All of these things will help. But if you are struggling with winter blues, nothing will help as much as getting outside on a regular basis. Do what you got to do, but get it done. So my next tip is if you can't get outside as much as you would like to, which most of us can't in the winter, bring the outside inside. I believe that part of the reason why a lot of us get down in the winter is because we're not seeing anything green and vibrant and alive. Now, if you live down in Florida, you get to see that all year. But if you live in a lot of the country, you probably don't see much. I mean, we have some evergreens here, but not a ton of them, and it's just not the same. So we make sure that we have lots of house plants in the house. Now, if you have pets, cats or dogs, make sure that those house plants are safe for cats and dogs. But having plants around you, not only does it help improve the air quality of your house, but it is just so invigorating to see and watch, and they grow and change every day, and you have something to take care of over the winter. It's really fantastic to bring that into your house. Not only do we have lots of live plants in the house, but I also bring in flowers every few weeks. So I'm able to make bunches of flowers last for almost 3 weeks here with the way that I do it. I don't know why, but I can get them to last for a long time. So about every 3 weeks or so, I'll change out the flowers. And it just gives you a little pop of life when it feels like there's no life to be found. Seriously, cats? Another really important tip that I have that goes against almost everything in my nature is to make sure to socialize. So you just heard me say that I often can be a hermit and a homebody, and I don't really need to go out. And I'm a hardcore introvert, but I think that human beings are social creatures, yes, even introverts. And if you spend 6 months indoors not speaking to anybody or seeing anybody or doing anything, I don't think that that's great for your mental health. And the lockdowns during COVID, I think, actually proved this. We now have a lot of data on it because of what happened during COVID lockdowns. So even though my tendency is to hole up in my house and not go out and do things, because I know that winter messes with my mood, I do make a concerted effort to make sure that I see other people. So I go to a community gym where I see the same people every day. We chat there. We try to make sure that we are still in contact with friends and family. Now, this is very easy to do during Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? We talked about this. January, February, March. It's a lot tougher. So making sure that you're doing some fun stuff with friends, maybe go out to a trivia night or something like that. Making sure that you are making that connection with people and keeping that human connection with other people is so important. Now, this can be accomplished online, but again, as the COVID lockdowns, I think, proved, it's not the same. It's not the same as seeing actual people in person, laughing together, etc. So definitely make sure to incorporate some socializing into your life. Another tip I have for you guys is that laughter truly is the best medicine, in my opinion. If any of you guys have met me in person, you know that I can't even help myself. I am just constantly cracking jokes all the time, even when maybe I probably shouldn't. I love to laugh. I really, really do. But I find that when I'm at home and alone, I'm not laughing much. You know what I mean? And when I realized this, I started actually deliberately watching either like lighthearted comedies or straight up stand-up comedy. So right over here, you can see it. This is our living room area, and Giacomo and I end most nights sitting there watching something. And I usually like kind of heavy, dark, intense stories, and those are my favorite. But when I know that things are kind of just like blah or bleak, I will pick out something that is just funny so that we can both just sit there and laugh, because I really do think that it makes a difference. I mean, if you think back to a time where you were having just a really bad day, and then somebody came over to cheer you up and you guys just laughed your butts off together, you immediately probably felt quite a bit better. And I think that laughter is really underutilized. So I think deliberately watching something that you find funny or talking to a friend that just always cracks you up, I think that's really, really important and helpful when you're feeling those winter blues. So I actually kind of save some of the funnier stuff that I want to watch for the winter. And my last tip for dealing with winter blues is to embrace the winter. I know how hard this is. There's actually a word called hygge. I think it's Danish. I gotta look it up. It is Danish and Norwegian, hygge. And basically it's this idea, we don't really have a word for it in English, but it's this idea of embracing the cold, dark winter months, particularly by like cozifying your environment, making things simple and inviting and cozy where you can. And it's something that you don't really do much in summer, but you can do it in the winter. So like big, fluffy, cozy blankets, candles lit, fires lit, cozy, warm sweaters, things like that, that make the winter seem a little bit more fun. And if anybody knows how to winter, like it's Norwegians. Go take a look at what they're doing to embrace their winter times. It's gonna improve the way you feel about it. If you can change your perspective on winter, which is hard. Listen, I dread it every year, but I'm working on it. If you can change your perspective so that things in the winter are things to look forward to, that's going to change everything. If you can change your perspective, you can change everything. So anywhere that you can find a place to embrace things that are unique to the winter months, you're gonna be better off doing that. So there are lots of other tips for dealing with seasonal affective disorder or winter blues that I'm certain you've heard before. Like I said, keep a consistent bedtime, exercise, eat well, drink water. I didn't want to include the ones that were super obvious in this video because I feel like there's a million videos saying the exact same thing. I wanted to add some new things to the equation here. But one last time, if you feel like you are struggling beyond what these tips you think could help, definitely reach out to a mental health professional. You are not alone. A lot of people struggle with the exact same thing, and sometimes they will have different modalities of treatment that may be much more beneficial to you than anything that I just said here. So there's no shame in reaching out for help. If you need it, definitely do it. What are your tips for dealing with winter? Let's try to turn this comment section into a bunch of helpful tips for each other because that's where like the magic happens. Go through, read the other comments. If there's any other topics you would like to see us cover, feel free to let us know. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching to reach your goals as a vegan, that is exactly what we do. Check out VeganProteins.com. There are links in the description. Definitely reach out to us. We can help you. Don't forget to like the video, hit the bell, all the things I'm supposed to tell you to do at the end of a YouTube video, and we will talk to you later. Bye.